Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome to day number 5 of our Goblin test week. So far this week we've been creating a first level fighter for each of the editions of Dungeons & Dragons. Today, being the 5th day, we're going to be making a first level fighter for D&D 5th edition. This is the most current version of the game to be released. And I thought, while I'm making a 5th level character on camera, this would be a good time to try out the random background information charts from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So I'm going to be rolling those as well, including the parentage, family makeup, home life before becoming an adventurer, why I became an adventurer, why I have the background that I have. I'm going to be making a human fighter soldier. So soldier will be the background. I'm also going to roll the personality traits, like the personality traits, bonds, flaws, and ideals. I'm going to be rolling those randomly as well because I think that might be quite a bit of fun. So I've got just some blank paper here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our stats, and this is based off of the fact that we're using the default or the first method of creating characters. So we got here our ability scores. So method number 1. Let's just see here, because it looks like they don't even have the the dice rolling. Oh, okay, nope, here we go. So determine ability scores. So the first thing here says you generate your character's 6 ability scores randomly. Roll 4 6-sided dice and record the total of the 3 highest on a piece of scrap paper. Do this 5 more times. If you don't like the randomly determining the stats, then you can use the following scores instead. So the default method for 5th edition is to go back to our dice rolling. So we've got our 4d6 here. So let's just start off by rolling those. We got our scrap paper. Let's kind of go down. We'll zoom in a bit. And start off with 4d6, the 3 highest. So we've got 6, 6, and 4, so 13. Or not 13, 16. So we have a 16. That's not so good. We got a 7. Alright, 5, 4, 3, and of course 1 would be the lowest there, so that is going to be a 12. Something tells me that 7 is going to be going right into charisma. This one's not bad, so here are our rolls there. So 6, 4, and 5 for 15. 2 more to go. So 14. Oh. And that was kind of close. We almost had, could have had a 16, but we've got ourselves another 15. So these are actually some pretty decent stats overall. The human that I'm going to be using is the default human for this. I may choose to do the variant human for my optimized character. So we'll see how that goes when I decide to, or when I get around to making that. But for right now, the default human in 5th edition gets +1 to all of their ability scores. Okay, sorry, I just noticed there was something on my player's handbook. Alright, so yeah, let's go to our races. So human, we'll zoom back out just a little bit. So our human ability scores, your ability scores each increase by 1. So the variant human, 2 different ability scores of your choice increase by 1, and then you gain training and an extra skill of your choice, and you get a feat. So feats are not something that's part of the default rules in 5th edition, so I'm not going to use them for this version, but like I said, I may look them over and see what we've got for our variant human, what we have for feats, and go from there. Now, as far as the Xanathar's Guide to Everything goes, we're only using that for the background information. Like all the other first level fighters that I've made so far, we're using these strictly by the player's handbook, so I'm not going to use any options or things available in Xanathar's Guide. I'm only going to be doing it for the background information. But first, all of our ability scores increase by 1, so we got 17, 8, 13, 16, 16, and 15. So those are some pretty good stats. Now, as a human, or not as a human, as a fighter, chainmail is, I believe, a heavy armor. So if that's the case, then having a high dexterity really isn't going to do a whole lot for us. But we'll have a look and see here. Whoop. Not too far. There's the equipment. Actually, chainmail is a heavy armor. So when we're assigning our stats, the dexterity would really only benefit us for the initiative. So I think with that in mind, what I'm actually going to do is start off, that 17 is going to go into strength, obviously, and one of our 16s is going to go into constitution. For dexterity, again, I don't get to add any bonus to my armor class or defense. So if I put 16 into dexterity, that would be great if I were using ranged weapons or for my initiative. But I don't really think that's as big of a deal. So I'm actually going to put the 13 into dex. I could put the 8, and what would happen with the 8, the -1 wouldn't apply to my armor class because I'm wearing heavy armor. So it wouldn't affect that at all. It would affect my initiative, so my initiative modifier would be -1. I had considered that actually as I was doing it, but I think I'm going to go and give myself at least a +1 to my initiative roll. Charisma will be the 8, so I'm not the most sociable person. And we're going to put the other 16 into wisdom, and why not intelligence for the 15. Probably not going to come into play in any way, shape, or form, but that's what we've got. So plug these into our character sheet. Alright, so our strength is going to be 17. Now, I always kind of flip-flop back and forth, how I do the stats. I typically put the modifier in the large field and the score itself in the smaller field because the modifier is what you reference more. So we've got a 17 strength, we've got a 13 dexterity, 16 constitution, we got a, what do we have here? We got a 15 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and an 8 charisma, so -1, +3, +2, +3, +1. It's always doing that. And +3 for our strength. Alright, our proficiency bonus, we know that at first level is going to be +2, and that's the same for everyone. So let's just go ahead and fill in some information here. So we got our good old Ethan Jasan. It's going to be a fighter, level 1. Background is going to be soldier. Race is human. Alignment is going to be lawful good. And we don't have any experience points. Now, like I said, with my printer, there are some unusual things going on with it. It's not putting grays, the gray color, on the sheets like at all. It's starting to do that a little bit more now. I think it's just because the ink was getting low. So it's just kind of got like very faint. I don't even know if it's going to show up here. But it just has like where it would have gray, it just has sort of a faint yellow tint to everything. So some of the lines or stuff that you would see are not showing up, including the lines up here. Get it get it to focus. So there should be lines there. They're just not showing up. It's just to do with the printer. So let's go ahead and first we're going to look at our background information. So we'll zoom. Whoops. We'll zoom back out here for a moment. And the reason I'm looking at the background is for our skill training, because there are certain skills that your backgrounds give you automatically that you're considered to be proficient in. So where your class usually gives you a choice, like you choose 2 or 3 from a list, I want to get my ones for my background in first because I don't want to overlap my background skills with the ones that I would choose as a fighter. So our skill proficiencies for being a soldier start off with athletics and intimidation. So those are ones I get for free. I think both of these are actual fighter class skills as well, so it means that I don't have to choose those anymore. So just on the character sheet, I just look where I have athletics and intimidation, and I just shade in the circles next to them to show that I am proficient with them. I'm also proficient with one type of gaming set and land vehicles. So I'm just going to put under proficiencies, gaming set, and let's go, just because I have a physical copy of it, let's go with 3 Dragon Ante. So that will be our gaming set, and we are proficient with land vehicles. All right. Our equipment. So this, our equipment are things that we get automatically as well. So the thing I'm only really going to worry about is under equipment here. I'm just going to put insignia of rank, even though that's probably not going to come into play at all. I'm just going to put down the example of a dagger from a fallen enemy. Let's have a look here. Set of bone dice or a deck of cards. I'm just going to have a deck of cards. Set of common clothes. So I'm just going to write all this stuff down. Common clothes, belt and a belt pouch containing 10 gold pieces. All right. So we have all of that. While I've got the background stuff open, I may as well roll my background information from here. So the first thing we've got is our specialty. So I'm just going to put military specialty. And that is a D8. And I rolled a 5. So that makes me a healer. That one doesn't quite work. Let's just try that again. Rolled a 4 and got cavalry. So alright, so if I think handle animal is a fighter skill, so because of that I'm going to be taking that to make sense for the background. Now our characteristics, so we got our personality traits, which are also a D8, and rolling that I got a number 2, so I am haunted by the memories of war. I'm just going to put that part of it down. So I'm haunted by the memories of war. I can't get the images of violence out of my mind. So a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder. And the rest of the features are rolled with a D6. So our ideal is greater good. So it says our lot is to lay down our lives in defense of others. So let me just write that down. Which makes sense for a lawful good character. And again, my handwriting is terrible. I can read it, so we'll just go with that. For the things that I want to show like directly, I will try to write a bit neater. Hopefully it's not too bad. Our bond. Whoop. Alright, so our bond is number 2. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. Try to get rid of that glare. So bond number 2 is someone saved my life on the battlefield. To this day I will never leave a friend behind. So let's write that down. Alright, and one of my favorite parts, we're going to look at our flaw. So I rolled a 3 for the flaw. Just got that right there. So our soldier's flaw is number 3. I made a terrible mistake in battle, cost many lives, and I would do anything to keep that mistake a secret. Just going to put costly mistake on the battlefield. We'll do anything to keep it a secret. To keep it secret. Okay, so we've got our background details there. So our personality trait is that I'm haunted by the memories of war. My ideal is it's our lot to lay down our lives in defense of others. The bond is someone saved my life on the battlefield. To this day I will not leave an ally behind. And my flaw is that I made a costly mistake on the battlefield and I will do anything to keep it secret. So that kind of all actually works together pretty well. Essentially I made a mistake that cost a lot of people their lives. It nearly cost me my life, but I was saved by an ally. Because of that and because of the guilt that I have, I will not leave anyone behind. So I will not abandon any of my party members, and I believe that it's my place to give my life in defense of others as a way of sort of trying to atone for the mistake that I made. And that's one of the things that I love about these background is even rolling randomly, you can kind of create a story from that. So next, let's go to our class features. And we will get some more stuff here. So druids, whoops, monks went too far. Alright, so for the fighter, our proficiencies, we get saving throws is strength and constitution. So on our sheet here, we got our saving throws, just shade in strength and constitution, so we got that information there. And for skills, so for skills you choose 2 from the list of acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. So I'm going to go with animal handling because I was cavalry, meaning that I was into mounted battle. And I'm also going to choose perception just because I think that's always a good skill to have. And there we go. So we got our skills, we got all that information. At first level, we also get second wind and a fighting style. So second wind, I can roll a d10 and add my fighter level. And I regain that many hit points in battle. It is a bonus action as well. Whoops. There we go. It's a bonus action as well, so I can do that and still continue to fight. So let's just, under our class features, I'm going to put down second wind, which is recover 1d10 plus 1 hit points, and it is a bonus action. And the last thing we get is our fighting style. So there's a few different things, there's a couple of different ones that I can look at here. There is protection, which is okay, but I'm not really doing this in a situation where there's other characters on the battlefield. So that one's really not going to come into play. I can impose disadvantage basically on an attack if one of my allies is attacked. So that one I might consider it if I was actually making this for a campaign. But where this is for the purposes of the Goblin test, that's not really going to come into play. So the two that are potential things that I should look at are defense and dueling. So with defense, while you are wearing armor, you gain a +1 bonus to armor class. So that's going to be good for increasing my defense. And if I use the dueling one, while I'm wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, I gain a +2 bonus on damage rolls with the weapon. Now, you can hold a shield with this ability, so you don't have to have an empty hand, you just can't be wielding a second weapon. So you can't have like a dagger in your offhand or a short sword or anything along those lines. But the shield you can still use, and I get the +2 bonus to damage. Having +1 bonus to armor class is good, but I think I'm going to go with the dueling style, fighting style. So fighting style. So dueling is +2 damage. I'm never going to be in a situation where I've got a weapon in my offhand, so I don't have to worry about that. Alright, so we've got that information, and I think that's it for our fighter stuff. So let's just go in and sort of fill in some information here before I get to my equipment. So we'll start with our saving throws. Whoop. Alright, so strength, we add a proficiency bonus to our strength modifier for strength saving throws. So we got 2 for proficiency, 3 for strength, so we get +5 to our strength saving throws. Our dexterity is just a straight modifier of +1. Our constitution gives us +3 and our proficiency bonus, so we get +5 to that as well. We're going to get a +2 bonus on our intelligence saves, +3 on wisdom for our 16 wisdom, and -1 on charisma, so we're not good at the charisma saving throws. As for our skills, we've got acrobatics, which we get +1 because that is dexterity based. And this is the unfortunate thing with this sheet is the way that it printed off. Whoop. It's difficult to actually, you can't see the ability score or ability modifiers that would go next to it. Animal handling, crud, something I'm going to have to look up here. Just a second, because I think I got another one that showed up a little bit better. So animal handling is actually wisdom. So with the wisdom and +2, so we get +5 to that. Arcana is intelligence, which is +2. Athletics is strength, so that is going to be a total of +5. Deception is charisma. History is intelligence, so that is going to be +2. Insight is wisdom, which is going to give us +3. Intimidation is charisma, but I am proficient in it, so I get a total of +1. -1 for my charisma modifier, and then +2 for my proficiency. Investigation is wisdom as well, which is going to be +3. Medicine is wisdom, which will give us +3. Nature is intelligence. Perception is wisdom and proficiency, so that is going to be +5. Performance is charisma, which is -1. Persuasion is -1 for charisma. Religion is intelligence, which is going to be +2. Sleight of hand is dexterity, which is going to be +1. Stealth is +1. And survival is wisdom at +3. So we got all of our skills filled in here. Next is our passive perception, which is 10 plus our perception modifier, so we got a 15 for that. Our hit dice is a D10, and we have 1 D10 to use so far. Our hit points is 10 plus our constitution modifier, so our current hit points. So our max HP is going to be 13. Our speed is normally 30 feet, but we'll see what happens when we get our armor. And so the next thing we got to do is get our starting equipment. And then I'll do the background charts from Xanathar's guide after that. So we'll, zoom back out, we'll go to our fighter. Alright, so for our fighter equipment, zoom in here. Alright, so we can get chainmail or leather armor, a longbow, and 20 arrows, so we are definitely going to go with chainmail. Number 2 is a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons, so we're going to go with longsword and shield. Up next is a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes, so we'll go with the light crossbow even though we're not going to use it. 20 bolts. And the last one is a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. Let's go with Explorer's pack. Alright, and we'll just fill that into our sheet as well. I'm just going to put Explorer's pack. Okay, now again, under our attacks and stuff, there should be lines, but they're just not showing up because they're very, very pale yellow, along with some stuff here. So I'm just going to put in up here long sword, and we're going to go with crossbow, but again, we're not going to likely be using that. Whoops, not crossbox, crossbow. Alright, so the first thing is our attack bonus, which is our proficiency bonus plus our strength modifier in this case, so plus 5. And the damage is going to be a D8, because I know that's still the same. Let's just pop over to the equipment here for a second. So the longsword is 1d8 slashing. It's only 3 pounds, so it actually lost a pound of weight in 5th edition, and I could wield it in 2 hands for a d10 damage. It's not worth it though, because then I would lose my +2 damage for my dueling style. So it's going to be 1d8 plus 5 total. 3 for my ability score and 2 for my dueling style. Alright, for the crossbow, again I'm not going to use it, but we may as well fill it in. Uses dexterity, so my proficiency bonus of 2 and my dexterity modifier of 1 gives me +3. And the damage for a crossbow I think is a d8. Let's just have a quick look at that. Adventuring gear, weapons, crossbow, regular crossbow light is a, it is 1d8 piercing, so it'll be 1d8 plus 1 because I have my dexterity modifier. Alright, so that's all of that, and last thing will be our armor class. Whoops. So up here, initiative is +1, I forgot to fill that in. So our armor class is up next. And we are using chainmail armor. So chainmail gives me an armor class of 16, and the shield gives me +2, so it's going to give me an armor class of 18 total. Alright, I'm just going to write down longsword, chainmail, and shield. Alright, so that's basically it. I mean, we've got our first level character. We've got everything done. But because I'm here and because I'm doing this, I also want to look at the background charts for Xanathar's Guide, just to kind of fill out my background information about how it was brought up. So let's move on to that next. Alright, so here we are. We've got the charts for Xanathar's Guide. So let's roll all of this information and just see what we've got here. So let's start off with our parents. And I think these all use, no, they don't all use percentiles. So let me just grab a few dice here. So there's our percentile dice. And we got 3d6 for some things, a d4, and a d. So we got, okay, we should have all the dice that we need now. So the first thing we're going to do is roll our parents. So we'll see if we knew who our parents were or if we did not know who our parents were. So that is 60. So parents, I know who they are. So I'll just write that down over here. I'm just going to put parents known. We don't have to worry about any of that information. So I was born, so my birthplace, 72. So I was born in a forest. Interesting. Let's see, number of siblings would be next. So let's start with how many siblings do I have? So that's a D10. I got a 7. So it's a D6 plus 2. Wow, so I got 6 siblings. All right. And the birth order for myself, or the birth order for the siblings. So I got to roll this 6 times. All right, so older, younger. Okay. So I've got one. I rolled a 3 for the first one, so I've got 1 older, 1 younger, 2 younger, 5 is older. So there's 7 of us. Wow. 9 puts us in the puts the siblings in the younger. Okay, so I am essentially I'm the middle child. So I have 6 siblings, so there's 7 of us total. 3 of my siblings are older than myself, and 3 of them are younger than me. It does say, just give me a moment here, next refer to family lifestyle. Occupation. I'm just looking at this information here. So then roll on the birth order for each sibling. For each sibling of a suitable age, roll on the occupation supplemental table to determine what that person does for a living. So where is the occupation? I'm not going to worry about it if it's not easy to find on here. So we got some life events, adventures, secondary tables. Oh, we do have some occupations. So of those 6 children, so the 3 of them that are older, I would have to have information for, and of the 2 that are younger, let's roll a d20 for their age, because I don't know if there was an age chart on there. All I know is that they are younger than me. I don't want to screw around too much here, but I plan on being, I think, about 21. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about their age, so again, I'm just going to roll a d20 for the younger children's ages. So I've got so let's just go, whoops. So ages 9, 3, and 2. So they are significantly younger. I'm not going to worry about the ages of the older siblings just because they would have occupations. So for the occupations, go to that chart next, and we'll just get that completely out of the way. So occupation, it is once again a D100, and I have to roll this 3 times. So 44 for the first one is a farmer. Second one, whoops, is 05, so academic. And last one is 48. So 48, so I got 2 farmers. So 2 farmers and an academic, 3 younger children, and I am a soldier. Okay. Now let's go back. And we're going to go for our family here. So that's the next one to roll. Just to see. So family and friends, who raised you? What was life like for you when you were growing up? You might have been raised by your parents, by relatives, or in an orphanage, or you could have spent your childhood on the streets. So, 42. I was... okay, so I was raised by a single father or stepfather. So let's go with raised by a single father, and my mother, who was absent. I will roll on the absent parent chart. Whoop. Okay, and my mother, I rolled a 1, so that says she died, and I got to roll the cause of death. So mother died. Cause of death is back here. Oh. Cause of death is a D12. And that is a 1. I rolled a 1 on the D12. So her cause of death is unknown. Okay, so that could be something that maybe drives my character. So we got all that information. Family lifestyle is 3d6. And I got 5, 4, and 3 on the dice. So that is going to be 12 total. So we had a modest upbringing, or modest lifestyle, which makes sense because we had, some farmers, so our family was probably made up of farmers, sold our crops, and, we were successful enough that we were able to send one of the children off to become a academic. Alright, so our childhood home now, that is rolled on percentile, so 23. So that is no permanent residence, moved around a lot. Moved around a lot. Which I guess we could have been, the farmer children may have been farmers. Of course, this is what they're doing now, so maybe they've kind of settled down. So we just moved around from place to place, taking whatever jobs we could. Alright, childhood memories. 3d6 plus my charisma modifier, which is -1. So 4, 2, and 2, so 8 minus 1 is 7, so that's still in the same thing. So childhood memories, others saw me as being different or strange, so I had few companions. Saw me as being different or strange. So I had few companions, which makes sense because my charisma is only 8. So because I didn't have a lot of friends or anything like that growing up, then it actually affected me to the point where I just don't know how to interact with people. So that is pretty cool as well. Now for our background, we've got soldier. So next I roll why I became what I became. So got our soldier chart here. I rolled a 6. So became soldier because invaders Invaders attacked my homeland. It was my duty to take up arms in defense of my people, which makes sense. So perhaps they kidnapped my mother and took her away, so we don't know exactly what happened to her. We just assume that she's dead. So there we go. Attacked my homeland. It was my duty to take up arms in defense of my people. Alright, and our fighter chart here. So I became a fighter because I rolled a 6 there as well, so I could always pick up just about any weapon and know how to use it efficiently. Okay, so I became a fighter because I could always pick up just about any weapon and know how to use it efficiently. Alright, and I think that is more or less it. Oh no, that's not it. I got my life events. So I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be 21. So I get to roll 1d4 life events. And I only got a 1, so I'm just going to have the 1 life event. But let's roll that, and that is a percentile as well. So 43, so I'm just going to put life event. So 43 is you made a friend of an adventurer, use the supplemental tables, and work with your DM to add more detail to this friendly character and establish how your friendship began. Is there weird stuff, supplemental tables, status? You know what, let's just because I don't want to go through the process of doing that on camera, let's just re-roll that. So I got 62. Just because I don't want to go through and try to create a random... I mean, that's something that you could definitely do, though, and it would make a lot of sense. But 62... you spent time working in a job related to your background. Start the game with extra 2d6 gold. Okay. So for life events... So, spent some time doing stuff based on my background. So, I'm just going to put something that would make sense for that is spent time as a caravan guard. And 2d6 gold. Oh, okay. So I got a 6 and a 5. So, earned additional 11 GP. So that gives us 21 gold pieces to start with. And I think that was it for our background information. Let me just have a quick look here just to see if there's anything else. But I want to say that was it. So either parents, or lifestyle, upbringing, past, family makeup, so life events. These details. So roll on the crime punishment. I don't think I roll on the. I think I only roll on the adventures table if the background says that I do. So I think that's it. So we got all of our we've got all of our information taken care of. Yeah, I mean, I could have. Okay, so I could have made an adventurer, random adventurer, with the class and race. So just because that was the first thing that I rolled, let me just do that as well. We'll just say that I had two things. So I'm just going to put became an adventurer after spending time. And this would make sense anyway because I could have met this person while being a caravan guard with a, so 42 for the race. 42 for the race is a dwarf. And the class, 90. So with a dwarf warlock. Okay. Yeah, so I spent time with the Dwarf Warlock, and I became interested in adventuring as a result. So let's just look at a little bit of the background stuff and just see what kind of story we can make from some of the things that we've got here. So, I was born in a forest. So essentially, it could have been a situation where my mother was pregnant, but she was still working, doing things. We were probably brought up on a farm to begin with, and what happened was she ended up going into labor while out maybe scavenging for some berries or checking traps or something along those lines. So that's where I was born. I know both of my parents. I was raised by my father, however, and my mother died. So where she died, we don't know the cause of death, but it likely happened when our village was attacked when I was younger. So our village was attacked, and I took up arms to defend the villagers as well, but they made away with my mother, and we don't know what happened to her. But that's something that caused me to become, that's why I signed on and became a soldier. And it was a natural fit for me because any weapon that I picked up, I tended to be able to use effectively. So I was good with any weapon that I had picked up. I would just practice with them when I was younger. Of my other siblings, I've got three older siblings, two of which took up farming. The other became an academic. When we were younger, we had to move around a lot because our village was destroyed, so we would go from place to place, and we would do sort of odd jobs and make sort of a modest living for ourselves. And yeah, there we go. I became an adventurer after spending some time as a caravan guard, and I had actually met a dwarven warlock who kind of talked me into taking up the adventuring lifestyle, and that's where I am now. I did make some money as a caravan guard, however, so I have 21 gold to start. And there we go. So that is our character, our 5th edition character. Now, a lot of this background information is going to mean absolutely nothing for the Goblin test, but I thought it'd be fun to actually use those charts and see what kind of information that we can get. And it seems pretty cool. Now, where my mother died when our village was attacked and we moved around a lot, which I'm assuming would have been after that, I'm going to say that probably my 3 younger siblings are most likely going to be the result of maybe a second marriage when I got older. So we got a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. The 9-year-old is still 12 years younger than me, so I'm going to assume that all the younger siblings, I'm going to put in result of father remarrying. And that probably would have taken place at a point where we could start to actually settle down. So there we go. We've got our 5th edition character, so I hope you've enjoyed this series of character creations. I can't say it all went 100% smoothly. For the 2nd edition character and the 4th edition character, there was some math that I forgot to incorporate, some mechanics that I completely forgot about. Like for 2nd edition, the fighter specialized got +1 to attack, +2 to damage, which I forgot to factor in. The only thing I remembered was that they got the higher rate of attack, and I always thought you had to spend a 3rd slot to get the bonuses, but that was wrong. That was something else altogether. And for 4th edition, I did forget to add in one of the +1s to my attack bonus, which was relatively minor. I caught that myself. But I did forget to put the shield bonus on my reflex defense, which I completely forgot about. So for the people who pointed out those mistakes, thank you very much. Hopefully I didn't make any with the 5th edition character. And that's it for our character generations. I'm going to go and just create the optimized characters. And I don't know if I ever actually discussed how I was going to do the optimized character, so I may as well do that right at the end of this video. The optimized characters have the set ability score, so I already mentioned that. It'll be an 18, 16, 12, and then the rest are 8s. 18 for strength, 16 for constitution, 12 for dexterity, 8 for all the mental stats because they're not going to matter. They're also going to be made using the best possible equipment determined by their starting gold. So where the standardized ones are going to try to stay as close to chainmail, shield, and longsword as possible, the optimized characters can actually go above and beyond that. So I could afford, if I can afford a better suit of armor, then I will do that for those characters. For the ones that would have randomized hit points at first level, so first and second edition AD&D, they're going to be given max hit points. So anyway, going to go ahead and create those characters, get that done, and then I can start the actual Goblin test itself. So thank you guys very much for watching all these videos. Hope you've enjoyed the journey so far, and we're about to get to the combats here very, very shortly. So again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.